Hello, my name is Douglas Comer, and I'm president of the United States National Committee of the International Council on Monuments and Sites, also known as ICOMOS-USA. And I'm also president of the supporting organization for our national committee, which is known as World Heritage USA, hence the logos you see behind me. Now, this will be my final year of three-year terms as president. That's a total of 9 years. I'm happy to say that we have grown. We've grown enormously in membership, grown in financial security, and grown in programs and projects. All of this has been made possible by the dedication of our Board of Trustees. I am enormously grateful. I'm really grateful beyond words to our officers, amazing people, one and all. Destry Jarvis, who is our vice president. Ellen Delage, our treasurer. And Kate Perry, our secretary. Now, as it happens, all of our officers will be stepping down at the end of this year, but we will be replaced by very seasoned experts in world heritage, cultural management, and heritage practice. Our committee has been extremely active in 2025. We have made progress in many of our programs and projects, virtually all actually. Our membership has grown enormously year by year, but this year, especially this year, for 2026, we will have over 1,200 members, the largest national committee of the 110 in existence. Our members are largely practitioners and scholars from the fields of culture and heritage. So, as I'm sure you are all aware, this year has probably been more challenging to our membership than any other year in the 60-year history of our national committee. And I'll say more about that later. For now, I will point out that in 2026, we saw the vigorous launch of a supporting organization, World Heritage USA, it's called, which will provide supporters for ICOMOS-USA for activities, for the programs and practices that we're involved with. And I'll talk more about our programs, projects, and activities last year later. Just briefly at this moment, they include an expanded Emerging Professionals Committee, a vigorous international exchange program, our Monuments Toolkit project, developing a network, it's very important, developing a network of U.S. World Heritage and tentative list sites that focuses on communication with state and local politicians in the regions where they are located. Also, we've done energetic work to advance binational nominations. And we have been extremely active in advocacy at the federal executive level, building relations with partners and potential partners and working with them. I must say, we have nominated a slate of really stellar incoming officers and board members. And we will continue to move our organization forward by virtue of their contributions for the next 3 years. So at this point, I'd like to have Destry Jarvis present our slate of candidates and to put them forward for the vote. And thank you. More later.
Thank you, Doug. As Doug said, I too will be leaving the board after 6 years of service. And I'm happy to say that we have an incredibly strong new slate of officers and board member candidates that we're going to put to a vote to you, the membership, here in the next few minutes. As you can see on the screen, Wayne Donaldson will become the new president. Dr. James Reap, the vice president in my capacity, former capacity. Kyle Normandin, the new treasurer, and Angela Lombardi, secretary. They are folks well known to our membership because they've all been closely associated with the board in recent years, either as board members or as honored former board members. So as far as the board membership itself, as you know by the bylaws, we have 3-year terms, and then when we fill unexpired terms, we nominate people so that we can have a staggered turnover of the board rather than everybody leaving at the same time. So we have 3 candidates, Jennifer Altman, Glenn Eskew, and Adam Markham, all 3 of whom are currently closely associated with our activities. Adam is a former board member. Jen and Glenn are both have been lead advocates for recent nominees and pending nominees to the World Heritage List. The other 4, Paul Cousin, now is at the National Park Foundation, Director of Federal Affairs, and Christine French, Sarah Lardinas, and John Reynolds are nominated also for staggered terms. Arianna, can you run through yes. I'm going to run through the brief bio, which you can read for yourself. Let's have a good photograph of each of them. The good news is they're all younger than me, and I'm sure will be vigorous participants in the board. Go ahead, the next. Glenn is leading the charge on the U.S. Civil Rights Movement sites nomination of 13 sites across 7 states, I believe it is, that is been charged by, in December of last year, charged by the Interagency Panel on World Heritage to pursue the development of the dossier, which is in progress. Next. Adam is a former board member of ours, most recently the deputy director of the Union of Concerned Scientists, and brings knowledge that is especially appropriate at the moment because he's an expert in climate change and its effects on cultural heritage. It'll be great to have him back on the board again. Next. Paul Cousin, I mentioned, the National Park Foundation, a sort of sister organization to the 19 of the 26 U.S. World Heritage sites that are units of the National Park System. Next. Christine French runs the Napa County Landmarks Program and is very active in California and in cultural heritage programs in California, has been involved with the National Park Service and the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Next. Sarah Lardinas is on staff at the Getty in California and has vast experience, and especially so with ICOMOS programs, and has been active with our International Exchange Program Committee up to this point. Next. and John Reynolds. John was deputy director of the National Park Service when I was assistant director of the National Park Service in the Clinton administration, 8 years, but he's had a longer career in the Park Service. In fact, he's a Park Service brat. His father was a ranger in Yellowstone, and he was born there, and he and his brother were longtime career National Park Service folks. And John has had a lot of involvement with World Heritage programs as well as the delegate for a number of years. And that is that it? Yes. So now we're going to put it to a vote. You'll see on your screen an active tabulation opportunity. So please cast your vote and we will conclude this part of the program. Thank you for participating. I believe voting has ended. Arianna?
There. Okay, so the slate of candidates, nominated candidates elected as officers to the Board of Trustees, that has passed with 93% of the vote voting yay and 7% abstaining, 0% voted nay. The slate of nominated candidates newly elected to the Board of Trustees, that passes with 95% voting yay, 5% abstaining, and 0% voting against.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for participating, and please welcome the new board and officers for ICOMOS USA. So I'm going to give a brief overview of our advocacy work this past year. And I think it's maybe overly simplified to say it's been a bad year for World Heritage. The Park Service Office of International Affairs, which manages the World Heritage Program for the United States, was abolished. All the employees took the buyout or left or retired. The function was transferred to the Office of the Secretary. There is an Office of International Affairs in the Department of the Interior, but they have not appointed a director of that office. There are a couple of career professionals there, but not a full complement of officers. The Park Service's National Center for Preservation Technology and Training was, shall we say, gutted. I believe it has 2 or 3 employees left. And a number of the some 1,700 full-time positions, equivalents, FTE as they're known, of the Park Service have been cut as a part of the DOGE attempt at government efficiency. That has rendered many parks understaffed. As I said, 19 of the 26 U.S. World Heritage sites are unit of the National Park System. One is a jointly administered Fish and Wildlife Service and NOAA site out in the North Pacific, the Papahanaumokuakea World Heritage Site. And those have federal employees as well. So they're nearly all understaffed beyond where they were at the beginning of the year. That is renders them much greater difficulty in protecting the resources of the site. Often there's no one in parks. The gates may be closed, and if they are closed, that's probably a good thing because they're well protected. But when they're open but not staffed, damage occurs, and that's tragic for these special resources that are of national and international significance. The good news that we can talk about, I think, and reports you'll hear momentarily from some other members of the staff, are on the positive note. One of our staff members, Gilbert Correa, is duty stationed in Mexico City, and leading our effort to pursue several binational nominations over future years with Mexico. It starts with El Camino Real de Tierra Adentro, which was the furthest along in a prior nomination, withdrawn in an earlier administration, and we're working hard to bring it back around. The Mexican portion of that Spanish Trail is already a World Heritage Site, and the portion in the US that runs up through the state of New Mexico should be as well. So we're pursuing vigorously efforts to bring that nomination to the fore. There are several other El Camino Reals, one into Texas de Tejas and one into California, both from Mexico. And we are actively pursuing them with great local support in California and Texas to proceed down the road in the future. The process of any new nomination is in some jeopardy, shall we say. The interagency panel on World Heritage has not met in this administration, and I am been told by staff of the Assistant Secretary for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, which is the chair by statute of that interagency panel, that World Heritage is not a priority for their office. So nothing is happening at this point on those nominations. Nevertheless, we're working hard to see them come to fruition in future years. There's been quite a bit of activity down there. This photo was taken at Tomei Church on one of the sites along the trail in New Mexico. There was a field trip to visit those sites back in the summer, and we had a lot of support both in the state of New Mexico and from our counterpart, ICOMOS Mexico, to continue to pursue this. Interestingly, the Spanish government is interested in supporting this as well. This was initially a Spanish trail, all the El Caminos were. And so having that additional international participation and support will be a good thing. Go ahead through the slides, Arianna. Yes. So that's all I've got to say about this at the moment. Keep in touch through our website on these binational nominations and other pending nominations, in particular the Civil Rights Movement site nomination. That one the work being done by the team that was authorized by the interagency panel based at Georgia State University is pursuing this and developing the dossier vigorously, but it seems to be, let's say, on hold at the Department of the Interior at present time. That's all I'll say on this. Thank you for your time.
As we look back on 2025, we see a year that has presented challenges to our members that are almost surely unprecedented. The heritage and culture sectors have been hard hit by cutbacks in funding and grants, and there have been drastic elimination of jobs in the federal government. We have responded by ramping up our advocacy for these sectors. In this, we've drawn up upon the organizations that individual World Heritage Sites and tentative list sites have assembled. These groups share what they have done that has been successful in engaging local support. It is frequent that locally elected officials are more influential in the end in both securing support for individual sites and making the case for the economic and social benefits that accrue not just from World Heritage Sites, but also national parks, state parks, local parks, as well as heritage programs such as the Main Street program. We have support, and the key to getting that support that we need right now is to work locally. Several participants in our recent poll of impacts that began with the Trump administration reported significant disruptions to projects, and I'm going to try right now to show a couple of examples, some graphics here. These disruptions range from a loss of funding for projects to altered timelines to the cancellation of projects entirely. Some participants reported the need to pull funding from other designated projects to pay staff, which is not good. And that will affect project timelines and completion in the future. Several participants reported negative impacts on funds from the loss or halt of federal funding for projects to concerns about the retirement pension funds. Some participants note that while not directly affecting them right now, since they do not rely directly on federal funds, they anticipate a negative impact in the future as organizations must rely on private foundations to fund what federal grants used to cover. So, grant writing is participated to get much more competitive as the pool of applications is forced to increase substantially. For individuals self-reported as federal employees or former federal employees that have been affected by budget cuts and furloughs, one participant reported that they are still currently employed and were not furloughed during the recent shutdown, but their agency has been negatively impacted by cuts and forced retirements earlier in the year. Some participants shared the negative impact on heritage in the U.S. beyond the financial cuts, stating that some projects have been canceled entirely due to the the Trump administration's priorities, not for lack of funding, but more likely due to conflicting ideologies. The loss of NEH grant funding specifically has impacted other nonprofits. Participants report negative impacts in smaller museums, private firms, and universities, which have been targeted in some cases. Some participants reported on the negative impacts these decisions have had on employment, ranging from loss of job opportunities to increased stress due to accelerated timelines in an effort to beat budget cuts and use up funding before it runs out. Several participants noted the severe negative impact that this has had on their mental health, with others noting that they are witnessing their colleagues suffering. One participant states that morale is low in the field overall, and I would say that's an understatement, and I've witnessed that myself. But as I mentioned, we've made headway in several areas even during 2025. For example, strategic planning. The board established a working group to update the strategic plan at the start of the year. The latest version has been sent to you. The International Exchange Program coordinated 8 internships this summer and welcomed everyone to DC for an orientation in June. Katelynn and Charles will be giving a more in-depth presentation on this during the year in review video. The Emerging Professionals Committee launched the Bridging the Gap Between Theory and Practice webinar series with support from HPEF funding, launched the Coffee with an Expert webinar series in collaboration with ICOMOS Canada, which is very nice, and launched a membership program this fall with plans to expand in 2026. One of the committee members, Luka, Nedzebala, will be giving a more in-depth presentation on this during the year in review video. ICOMOS-USA and ICOMOS Mexico collaborated on producing the first America's National Committee meeting, where all the America's National Committees were invited. The declaration of collaboration stemming from that meeting will be sent to you. This meeting and others, including a tour of the sites of the Camino Real de Tierra Adentro, will enhance the prospect for binational nominations. The Monuments Toolkit project forged ahead. We relaunched the Monumental podcast and the summer webinar series, published the Toolkit for digital access, and collaborated with community partners in Baltimore. You'll be hearing more about that. As a matter of fact, Cequyna will have a more in-depth presentation regarding the whole town Monuments Toolkit in the year review video. Good news on membership, very good news. We exceeded 1,200 members in 2025, so it means that we have more members than any other national committee, all 110 of them. We've also spent a lot of time pursuing partnerships and building relationships with potential partners this year. Just last week, I participated in a meeting of the ICOMOS National Committees in the Americas, the first of its kind. We had sessions in Ensenada, Mexico, in San Diego, California. This meeting was organized by ICOMOS Mexico and ICOMOS-USA as a joint project. The immediate outcome of the meeting was a ICOMOS America's declaration of intention to work together more closely on issues held in common among our countries and to pursue our joint programs. This meeting and others were means by which we accelerated our program this year. On a less positive note, we of course had to cancel both the symposium in June and the celebration this December. And our IEP meet and greet in June was sparsely attended due to the last minute closures in DC for Trump's military parade, which kept many of our RSVP attendees at home when their offices were closed. We've also seen the negative impacts of federal cuts on the heritage community at large in the US, as we've outlined in the survey results. It's been a challenging year, full of a lot of uncertainties. But in spite of this, we've worked together to support and expand our community, to continue to pursue collaboration efforts with our neighbors in Mexico and the other countries in Americas. We've worked to prioritize emerging professionals in their career development, to prepare them for a future in the heritage field, and have worked on strengthening the foundation of our organization by building strategic partnerships, adjusting our strategic plan, and seeking new funding avenues through private foundations to ensure that when the dust settles, we will still be here, ready to keep doing the work to pursue our mission. These setbacks can only inspire us to double down on our work effort and to devise new ways to engage support for World Heritage.
Good afternoon. My name is Arianna Startt Zakrzewski, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of ICOMOS-USA and our supporting organization, World Heritage USA. 2025 has been a challenging year for the heritage community in the United States, but we are so grateful for each and every one of you for being here. Despite the challenges, I am thrilled to share that in 2025, ICOMOS-USA increased our membership by over 18%, welcoming over 1,200 heritage professionals, emerging professionals, and supporters to our community. While our membership has grown, so has our overall reach. Over the last year, we have seen a minimum 10% increase in followers across our social channels. We now share timely and relevant heritage news and updates with over 10,000 followers across Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We have seen a significant increase in our email open rate, with over 5,600 subscribers consistently reading our monthly newsletters and important announcements. There is always room for improvement, but we are energized by the growth we've seen in 2025 and are committed to continuing our efforts to raise awareness as we promote the conservation of the world's cultural and natural heritage. This past year, we focused heavily on relationship building, meeting with community partners to lay the foundation for future collaborations, both programmatic and operational. These conversations helped us identify shared priorities and explore new avenues for support, especially in areas aligned with inclusive heritage advocacy and public engagement. In response to the halt in government grant opportunities under the current administration, we shifted our attention to private foundations. This included extensive research, outreach, and application development, as well as investing in tools like Foundation Directory Online to strengthen our long-term fundraising capacity. We also dedicated significant time this year to preparing for the launch of the World Heritage Supporters Campaign through World Heritage USA, a new initiative designed to cultivate a broad base of individual donors, institutional partners, and public champions. The campaign will spotlight the impact of World Heritage work in the U.S., offer accessible pathways for engagement, and build sustained philanthropic support for the mission of ICOMOS-USA. As the 501c3 nonprofit that provides financial and operational infrastructure for ICOMOS-USA, World Heritage USA ensures that this work is sustainably funded and strategically aligned. The campaign represents a key step in diversifying our funding model, expanding our visibility, and reinforcing the dual entity structure that enables U.S. participation in global heritage preservation. Heritage doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It endures through uncertainty, and so must we. In a year marked by disruption and shifting priorities, you have the power to ensure that the places, stories, and traditions we cherish are not only preserved, but elevated. At World Heritage USA, we've remained focused, building partnerships, investing in tools, and preparing for the future. But none of this happens without you. Your support, whether through a gift, a membership, a sponsorship, or a shared commitment, fuels everything we do. It empowers us to keep advocating, educating, and connecting across borders and generations. It ensures that U.S. leadership in global heritage preservation remains strong, even when the path forward is steep. That's why we're launching the World Heritage Supporters Campaign, a growing community of individuals and institutions who believe in the power of cultural heritage to inspire, unite, and endure. We invite you to stand with us, because when you support World Heritage USA, you're not just funding programs, you're safeguarding the legacy we all share. Let's protect it together. Once again, we are deeply grateful for your support. Whether you joined ICOMOS USA for the first time this year, have been a member for decades, or are exploring new ways to engage through World Heritage USA, your presence strengthens our mission. Together, through membership, outreach, and development, we are building a vibrant community committed to protecting cultural and natural heritage. As we look ahead to 2026, we are honored to continue this work alongside you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to share a brief report on the 2025 IEP program. The IEP committee is composed of 6 members, Katelynn Delage, Sarah Denice, Lydia Lopesco, Alison Luka, Fernandez Mayes, Charles Musiba, and our amazing program officer, Cunningham. The 2025 International Exchange Program had 8 participants from the US, Australia, Cameroon, Ethiopia, India, and Nepal. We received 117 intern applications and 14 post applications, 5 of which were actually new applicants, post applicants. So the official closing of the 2025 IEP program virtually took place in September, where each intern gave a brief presentation about their summer internship program and their experiences. The interns' experiences were very, very positive. And if you have chance to actually watch those videos, you will see how excited they were presenting their very brief reports. So this year we have actually 117 applicants. This is one of the biggest number we have actually had ever had in the past, probably in the past 5 years. So the 2026 IP application officially also opened on November 1st, and they will be closing on January 1st. We are, again, as usual, in need of sponsorship and donations to support the program, particularly to cover interns' travel expenses, room and board, and their participation in the orientation in Washington, D.C. Thanks to Katelynn and Kelsey this year for their wonderful work in actually helping us raising money. Still, we do need your help to raise funds for the program, which has such a great impact on our emerging professionals. And I'm going to turn it on to Katelynn to continue where I just left. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Hi, everyone. My name is Katelynn, and I'm the coordinator of the International Exchange Program. So as such, I may be a little bit biased when I say that I think the IEP is by far our most popular and impactful program that we run here at World Heritage USA. But it would not exist without the support of all of our partners and sponsors who make this program possible. Every time you donate, those funds go directly to supporting the placement of an intern at a site or an organization abroad. And anytime you partner with us to create a project, you're helping create a learning opportunity for an emerging professional in the heritage field. Applications for the program are currently open and they close in January, on January 1st for interns and January 15th for hosts. So please share this announcement amongst your networks, talk to students who you think might be great candidates, talk to your local heritage organizations to see if they might be willing to host an intern. We would love to review their applications come January. If selected, the interns can expect to meet one another in Washington, D.C. for a wonderful orientation week. This year, we spent 3 days together in Washington, D.C., walking around the city, visiting incredible museums, hearing from professionals working at the National Park Service, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the Advisory Council for Historic Preservation, and many more. So it's a really great week where the interns get to bond and also get a little bit of an introduction to what the working life of a heritage professional looks like in the United States. After the orientation week, everyone goes off to their internship positions for 10 weeks, where they work on projects focused on conservation, interpretation, community engagement, documentation, and much more. Heritage as a field is interdisciplinary, and so are our internships. After the internships, our alumni have gone on to become Fulbright scholars, work and own their own architecture firms. We have alumni currently working in the Getty, in federal government, in international organizations abroad, and even in LA fire recovery efforts after the wildfires that harmed some of the city in recent years. So as I said, I might be biased, but I really do think the International Exchange Program is an amazing program, super impactful, and we once again cannot make it happen without the support of you and all of our partners and donors throughout these years. So thank you so much for a successful 2025, and here's to looking forward to 2026.
Hello, I'm Luka Nedzebala, focal point for the Emerging Professionals Working Group and the Vice Chair of ICOMOS-USA's Emerging Professional Committee. Today, I'm here to share with you a summary of the committee's activities over the past year. Earlier in the year, we partnered with our EP colleagues from ICOMOS Canada to host 3 Coffee with an Expert sessions. Established professionals were invited to share their career perspectives and work experiences and answer questions from the audience, largely made up of young and emerging professionals. The inaugural cohort of the new EP mentorship program began meeting in early October. 3 mentors, each with 2 mentees, will be meeting regularly over the next few months, offering advice and discussing the challenges and practical realities of working in the cultural heritage sector. This diverse group of 6 young professionals comes from different parts of the country, from Alaska to Maine, each with a unique academic and professional focus. The Emerging Professionals newsletter has now issued 11 monthly editions, with a readership of approximately 270. We have seen a 55% increase in readership since our first issue. Through the newsletter, we alert our EP colleagues to upcoming events and share opportunities that may be of interest to them. Finally, the Emerging Professionals Committee has launched a monthly online networking event titled Community Connections, open to all interested young and emerging professionals. These informal sessions are a chance for EPs to network with their peers, ask questions, and discuss topics of interest. As we move forward into 2026, we look forward to engaging with more EP members within the United States, as well as building stronger connections across our larger region. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cequyna Moore, and I am the Program Director of the Monuments Toolkit project. It is with pleasure to share with you a year in review for the Monuments Toolkit project. This year has been one of meaningful growth for our program. Across research, public engagement, and national partnerships, we expanded our reach, deepened our impact, and continued advancing conversations about monuments, memory, and community healing. One of our most significant milestones was the release of the Monuments Toolkit, which is a comprehensive resource designed to support communities as they examine the legacy and impacts of monuments in their public places. The toolkit brings together case studies, practical guidance, and adaptable frameworks to help communities navigate complex histories and make informed, equitable decisions about their commemorative landscapes. This year, we are continuing and also doing some new things as well with regards to getting the word out about the Monuments Toolkit project. With regards to our podcast, the Monumental Project podcast continues to serve as an official companion to the toolkit. In this second season, the podcast broadened its audience and deepened its scope, featuring conversations with newsmakers and authors and academics and policymakers who are shaping today's monuments dialogue. A highlight of this season was our episode with the Southern Poverty Law Center in discussing the latest Whose Heritage report, which tracks Confederate monument removals and provides an interactive national map. Episodes like this offer the public a nuanced context and actionable insights while amplifying underrepresented voices in heritage conversations. With regards to our webinars, we continue to create real-time engagement with community leaders, scholars, and artists who are working directly with influencing the monument's interpretation and public memory. This year, we launched the Monuments Toolkit 2025 Summer Webinar Series, which was a 3-part exploration of international approaches, as well as approaches to digital monuments, and all of this to address how communities are handling monuments of oppression and also uplifting untold and undertold histories. We had a great chance to present at conferences. We shared our work with the national academic and professional gatherings, including the University of Maryland at College Park's Marvin Breckinridge Lecture Series, as well as Journeys to Justice Symposium in Springfield, Illinois. And we are excited to be doing additional work. So I just really wanted to thank you to all of our partners, contributors, community members who continue to shape this work. Together, we are advancing equitable preservation practices and creating pathways for communities to reimagine public spaces in ways that honor truth, foster healing, and building a more inclusive future. Thank you.
It has been a great honor to have served as your president for the past 9 years. We've seen so many changes during that time. We began in dire financial straits, and as we were beginning to recover, we were hit by the COVID pandemic. But I'm happy to say we're in good financial condition right now, and we should be for the foreseeable future. I've traveled to many places in the world over the past 9 years, and I've become convinced that the COVID pandemic has changed cultures around the world. And I would argue relations among cultures and relations among people within individual cultures rather dramatically more than commonly recognized. And if there's a word being used now to describe our culture in the United States, most frequently, that word is polarization. But beyond this, I think that we're suffering from fragmentation, not just in this country. Virtual meetings, such as the one that we're holding right now, serve a very vital purpose. But we're humans, and we have evolved to be in the presence of other humans. As an archaeologist slash anthropologist, it's always struck me that in cultures around the world throughout time, ostracism being alone, separated, outcast, has been the worst form of punishment. So let's make a concerted effort to reconnect. We can do things to bring this about. I would encourage you all to join a scientific committee if you're not currently a member, because that way you're networked with people all over the world. And if you're a member of one of those scientific committees, become more active. Members of ICOMOS-USA, please, I would suggest that you consider running for office in the scientific committee and take leadership roles. I would also encourage ICOMOS-USA to strengthen ties with our other national committees, not just in the Americas, which we've launched that just recently in earnest, but with the other national committees. We share essential connections. It's global heritage that we're concerned about. Yes, we must be very mindful of the carbon footprint associated with travel. This can be reduced, though, by taking forms of public transportation that are energy efficient. We can reduce environmental impact by careful planning for travel, but we must renew our personal relationships with one another, because upon that, international relations ultimately depend. They depend upon that. ICOMOS is an organization for cultural and international understanding. That understanding is essential to the avoidance of conflict. It's essential to the promotion of beneficial collaboration. And of course, ICOMOS and ICOMOS-USA, we're not going to bring world peace, prosperity alone, but we can help, and perhaps help more than we realize. It's now my pleasure to introduce the incoming president of ICOMOS-USA and World Heritage USA, Milford Wayne Donaldson, my friend and a fine human being.
Good morning from California. My name is Wayne Donaldson, and I am truly honored to stand before you today as the newly elected president of US ICOMOS and World Heritage USA. This is a responsibility I do not take lightly, and I am deeply grateful for the trust and confidence you have placed in me. First, I want to acknowledge and thank Doug for his steadfast leadership and dedication for the last 9 years. I would also like to thank Arianna for her incredible management of the office, her staff, Katelynn, Kelsey, Michelle, and April, keeping us informed in a timely manner. Their efforts have set a strong foundation, and I am committed to building upon their work to continue driving our mission forward. US ICOMOS and World Heritage USA thrive because of the collective passion and commitment of its members. Each of you plays a vital role in our success, and together we will continue to make a meaningful impact. Our continued partnership with National Trust for Historic Preservation Action, the National Association of State Historic Preservation Officers, the National Association of Tribal Historic Preservation Officers, the Coalition for American Heritage, and many other important national heritage conservation organizations, World Heritage USA has publicly taken positions and issued statements on several issues. My vision as president is to foster growth, innovation, and collaboration. I want to ensure that every voice is heard, every idea is valued, and that we work as a united force to achieve our goals. In my time as president, I will focus on 3 key areas that I believe are crucial to our continued success. One is strengthening collaboration. We are all here because we share a common goal. I will work to foster an even more inclusive and collaborative environment where every voice is heard and every member has an opportunity to contribute meaningfully. Our diversity of thought, experience, and perspective is one of our greatest strengths, and I will do everything I can to make sure that every one of you feels valuable and empowered. 2, driving innovation and growth. We must remain open to new ideas, new strategies, and new ways of doing things. The world around us is changing rapidly, and in order to stay relevant and competitive, we must embrace innovation and be willing to take calculated risk. I support initiatives that push us to think creativity and stay ahead of the curve. And 3, fostering a message of hope and culture of excellence. Given the current state of affairs at the federal, state, and local levels, we should not give up hope for change. The World Heritage Site Advocacy Committee has shown the power of community for those who are struggling to protect heritage resources. Excellence has always been our standard and will continue. Whether in our work, our relationships, or our community involvement, we must strive for the highest quality in everything we do. This means continuous improvement, setting ambitious goals, and holding ourselves accountable to the highest standards. I am incredibly excited about the opportunities ahead, but I'm also mindful of the challenges. We are a diverse and dynamic organization, and I believe the key to overcoming any obstacles lies in our ability to come together and leverage the unique talents of each of our members. In closing, I want to say how truly honored I am to serve as your president. I am inspired by the incredible work you all do and motivated by potential of what we can do as a team. Let's continue to work together with energy, enthusiasm, and a shared vision to make US ICOMOS and World Heritage USA stronger, more innovative, and more impactful than ever before. Thank you again for your trust. Let's make the future bright together. Thank you.